It was a chilly December afternoon in Manhattan. Donald Trump, dressed in his signature navy coat and red tie, walked briskly down Fifth Avenue, heading back to Trump Tower after a meeting. As he passed the corner of 57th Street, he noticed a woman huddled against the side of a building, clutching a worn cardboard sign, "Homeless veteran, please help." Trump stopped in his tracks. The bustling holiday crowd moved around him, but his focus was on her. He stepped closer, his voice steady but compassionate. "Ma'am, what's your name?" The woman looked up, startled, her eyes searching his face. "It's Caroline," she replied hesitantly. "Caroline Miller." Trump crouched down to meet her at eye level. "Caroline," he asked gently, "are you a veteran?" "Yes, sir," she said, her voice trembling. "I served in the army for over 12 years, got injured overseas, and, well, it's been hard since." Trump's expression softened, but his tone remained firm. "How long have you been out here?" Caroline sighed, clutching the blanket around her shoulders. "Almost 8 months. I lost my home when I couldn't keep up with rent, tried to find work, but..." Her voice broke. "Nobody wants to hire someone like me." Trump frowned. "What do you mean, someone like you?" She gestured to her crutches beside her. "I got hurt in Afghanistan. My leg's not the same anymore. People don't want the hassle." Trump's jaw tightened. "You served this country. You deserve better. Why haven't you gotten help?" Caroline let out a bitter laugh. "I tried, Mr. Trump. You fill out forms, make calls, and wait months, only to hear there's nothing they can do. It's easier to just survive." Trump shook his head firmly. "That's unacceptable. You've given so much, and the system has let you down, but that stops today." He pulled out his phone and stepped a few feet away, dialing quickly. On the other end, Margaret answered immediately. "Mr. Trump, how can I help?" "Margaret," he said briskly, "I need a hotel room ready within the hour and call a doctor." "This is urgent." "Understood, sir," Margaret replied. "I'll handle it right away." Trump returned to Caroline, crouching beside her again. "Help is on the way, but first, let's get you something warm to eat." He flagged down a nearby food vendor. "2 hot chocolates and 2 sandwiches," he ordered, handing the vendor cash. Returning to Caroline, he handed her the hot drink. "Here, this'll help with the cold." Caroline hesitated, then took a sip. "Thank you," she murmured, her hands trembling as she held the cup. As Caroline ate, Trump sat beside her, unbothered by the curious stares of passers-by. "Tell me about your time in the army," he encouraged. Caroline's eyes softened as she spoke. "I served as a medic. Those years, they were hard, but I was proud of what I did. My unit was like my family. But after the explosion..." She paused, her voice catching. "Everything changed. Coming back, it felt like I didn't fit anywhere anymore." Trump nodded, his eyes intent on hers. "What about your family? Is there anyone who can help you?" Her face fell. My parents passed away years ago. My brother, he's got his own problems. And my husband." She looked away, swallowing hard. "He left. Said I wasn't the same person anymore." Trump's expression hardened, but his voice remained gentle. "Caroline, you've been through more than most people can imagine, but this ends today." Just then, a sleek black SUV pulled up to the curb. The driver stepped out and opened the door. Trump stood, extending his hand to Caroline. "Let's get you out of the cold." Caroline hesitated, her eyes brimming with tears. "Why are you doing this? You don't even know me." Trump gripped her hand firmly. "Because it's the right thing to do. No one who served this country should end up like this." The SUV took them to a nearby luxury hotel, where the staff, prepped by Margaret, greeted Caroline with warmth and care. A suite awaited her with a hot shower, fresh clothes, and a warm bed. Shortly after, a doctor arrived to examine her injuries and provide immediate care. Meanwhile, Margaret contacted Heroes Welcome Home, a non-profit specializing in supporting veterans. Within an hour, their representative, a kind woman named Lisa, sat with Caroline. "Caroline," Lisa said warmly, "we're here to help. Housing, job training, medical care, whatever you need, we'll make it happen." Caroline looked at Trump, who stood quietly nearby. "I don't know how to thank you," she said, her voice thick with emotion. "You don't need to thank me," Trump replied softly. "Just promise me one thing. When you're back on your feet, pay it forward." "I will," Caroline vowed, her voice steadier now. "I swear I will." By the next morning, Caroline's life was already transforming. Heroes Welcome Home arranged temporary housing, and Trump's foundation committed to covering her rent for the first year. Trump also handed her a check to help with immediate expenses. As Trump prepared to leave, Caroline stopped him. "Mr. Trump," she said, her voice strong for the first time, "you've given me hope again. Thank you." Trump smiled. "The best way to thank me is to keep going. You've got this, Caroline." As he stepped back onto Fifth Avenue, the holiday lights twinkled around him. In just a few hours, he had helped turn one life around. For Caroline Miller, the future finally held promise.